Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, guys, just another vlog about Steve. Let's see what they've got to say here.
You know, I mean, so I'm wrong. I'm way off on that one. But so anyway, back to this light thing now. Speaking of deceptions and misleading, right? So not only did we come up with the theory and record this very compelling evidence, we actually found the evidence from NASA itself for the system.
Okay.
And they actually, Boeing, and I don't have it teed up right now, but it's compelling. The Boeing actually did, one of those futuristic things. They actually showed in there that we can create an artificial sun, and they showed the system in operation.
Okay, and is that what we're looking at right now?
Yeah, this is the basic model of it, and what it's basically doing is it has several components, but including the chemtrails, by the way. But the idea is that they're generating light by harnessing energy from the sun itself.
So they're like taking even the infrared spectrum and converting it into light that people can see.
Correct. That's what we think.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So, and so basically that's the deception that we think we've uncovered. And I'm not going to sit here and, like you say, the question is, well, that system would have to be huge and it would have to be an engineering feat beyond imagination. So therefore it's not there. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. You mean to tell me that we lost whatever, $8 trillion to $16 trillion in the last 10 years to black budgets? What the heck do you think they're spending that money on?
Have you seen Under the Dome?
No.
Okay, yeah. The first couple of seasons were pretty good. That now it's getting, but it had a neat concept of Stephen King, based on a Stephen King novel, and literally this extraterrestrial race puts this dome over part of the planet, just over this one little township. And if you look at, this is kind of far out there and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's not. I don't think that there's a dome over our planet or anything from aliens, but with all the chemtrails that I'm seeing and the nanoparticulates and the way that light can reflect and the blue beam type technologies, the holographic stuff that they can do that we've seen already that's been around for over 10 years. You ever wonder? And then plus, if you look out at the sky sometimes, it's not blue like it used to be. It used to be these beautiful deep blues. Now when I look at, even on a blue sky day and no clouds, it's like this weird metallic aqua blue almost, but it's metallic and it just doesn't seem like it used to. So it's almost like I wonder, hey, are we looking into this LCD screen now, essentially, where they can turn it on and off, like you said, just raise the frequencies up and down and change stuff around? And it's fascinating, the possibilities indeed.
Here's the system actually spinning, Rex, with the same photography method. You can actually see it in operation. And this is the light generator in here, and you notice how it has all these sparkles and lights all over it? That's what's causing that weird lens flare that everybody's getting, is this little ball that has the little specks of light on it. That's not a planet. That's just this light system's refraction.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, remember when I caught the rose-colored sunrise on the ISS?
Yes, sir. That was back in April.
Yeah. Did you see those, Rex?
No, I didn't. Do you have those?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Steve, how does this work?
Well, why don't you go ahead and put them up on your screen, and I'll give up the screen just like we do all the time, Wayne.
All right.
Real quick, though, where's this picture from?
This picture? From the same artist using the 35 millimeter technique.
Wait a second. This is an actual photograph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an actual film, 35 millimeter film photograph.
Yes.
Wow. That's
all fun.
I thought that was like an artist rendering of something. I thought that was some CGI from Star Trek.
You stick your welding glasses on and you look up at the sun and it looks normal, right? You know why? You're not going to see any of this stuff in a welding glass, dumbass.
I'm shocked that that's film, man. That's pretty awesome.
Different qualities to how it hits the light spectrum.
That's cool.
Right. So now this Fresnel lens is out there spinning all the stuff out so we can't see. And Wayne, I'm going to give you the screen so you can show them that photo from the ISS. But first, I wanted to show you this, Rex. This was from October 31st. We had another eclipse of, quote unquote, the moon. across the sun. Now, Wayne and I got on right away and said, Wayne, what happened the last time that they had an eclipse? It went from right to left. The moon went across the sun right to left. This one went from left to right. I didn't know that the moon changes directions, number one. But number two, we went to the magnetogram view of this thing. Look at the layers of magnetic activity on this object.
Yeah.
That's the signal. That's the signal, Rex. It's the magnetic signature that you have to look for.
Okay.
And what that's indicating is multiple layers of magnetic activity that's not consistent with the moon.
Jeez. The Death Star.
The Dead Star.
So anyway, I'm going
to
go ahead, Wayne, and show us that picture from the ISS. I think that's a cool one, man.
Yeah. Okay. Just let me know when you got it.
That's far, man.
You got it? Can you see everything?
Oh yeah. Yep.
All right. So watch this. That's the sun.
Okay, guys, this is the sun above the Earth's atmosphere from ISS, the International Space Station. And we've been seeing this halo around the sun in our atmosphere. They've been blaming that on ice crystals within our atmosphere, when in fact it's been seen above the atmosphere. We've discussed this at length quite a few times on different vlogs earlier on, and they're pretty much the early episodes or installments uploaded onto the channel. Again, for those of you who are curious about it, look it up. But certainly there's something very artificial about it. It doesn't look like our sun. You can see a hexagon shape around this as well. And then you're seeing this halo around it. And then you're seeing hexagon refraction, which certainly must be coming off the panels that we've discussed. And Steve just mentioned the Boeing and a futuristic kind of rendition of what they believe how the Earth would function in the future. And they also showed the solar sun simulating technology above the Earth's atmosphere in that Boeing advert. I've uploaded that as well, and that's in one of the blogs as well. So look that up again if you're interested on the channel.
And there it is. So that's off the. These are just some of the anomalies. Where do we get a sun like this? I mean, the color. It's just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's a fascinating image right there.
Yeah, it's.
It almost looks like it looks artificial right there.
Doesn't it though? We have video of this one. Which one was that? Was that in August, Steve, when we actually saw it going retrograde?
Artificial, but it certainly looks artificial.
It does look artificial. It does. It's like, well, what in the world is this? And the color. I mean, wow.
And just the way it's so perfect. The circle is so perfect, and the way that if you look at the beams around it, it's so symmetrical, and I don't see any chaos there, essentially, if that makes sense. It just seems all so perfect.
Yeah, I'll turn it back over to y'all. But, these are just the anomalies. And like I said, we caught this artificial sun actually retrograding in the wrong direction as well.
Do you think there could be a network of these things out there?
Bingo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Bingo.
Wayne, let go of your screen, man. I want to show Rex some other mind-blowing stuff. All right. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is this little nugget. This was in October as well. What I'm showing you here is a view of what we call the solar wind monitor. It's basically measuring the amount of pressure that's going past the Earth from the sun. And the sun is on the right side where these are.
Okay, guys, over here, sorry to interject. What we're seeing and what my understanding of this is that the binary system has its primary star parked next to our sun. Then there's another star, which is the red dwarf star, and that's got a reasonable distance between its primary star. Then you've got a gas giant, two gas giants, one of which I think is around about 0.1 AU away from its primary star. The other one is 1.5 AU, and if it is 1.5 AU, then that puts it behind the Earth. And I think that's the particular one that caused this anomaly to our magnetic poles, where our magnetic poles ended up collapsing during this time. Uh, you've seen the map of the solar wind, right, and the magnetic fields, and you've seen something coming from behind us as well in the opposite direction. And I understand that that was one of the planets, and maybe most likely the one touted as Nibiru, with the um, heavy iron and nickel core.
Arrows are. Okay, so the sun is supposed to go like this, straight across.
Okay.
This is the second quote unquote magnetopause event that we have seen in the last 6 months. The other one was in April, where the solar wind, are you listening to me? Reversed. And you're seeing solar wind from a different sun hitting the Earth.
And the blue lines are plasma. So you can actually tell by the heat signature of where it's coming. And what's disturbing about this, Rex, is for your viewers, is that, as Steve was pointing out, look where the heat's coming. You can see over on the right, that's our sun. That's the way it should be. As you go further out into space, the dispensation of the heat signature should begin to disperse. Not here.
And even BP Earthwatch reported on this. We respect BP a lot. We don't see this. This is the other thing our channel's trying to do. We're trying to get out of this tit for tat stuff. Like, you're wrong, so therefore you're a shill from the government.
I know. Isn't that retarded?
I know.
It is.
You don't think we're going to make mistakes? You don't think BP's going to make a mistake here and there, guys? We're all trying to do the best we can. You know.
It's funny you brought that up, because I read a comment yesterday about how somebody thought that BP Earthwatch, the guy that runs that channel, was paid for because he's changed his opinions on Planet X, possibly used to being Jupiter, at least according to the comment. I don't keep track of this guy, but I think to myself when I read these comments, just because somebody changes their opinion on something, especially as controversial as Planet X, doesn't mean they're a paid-for government shill. They might have just changed their mind or have some new information that makes them feel that way. So I can appreciate everybody's opinion. I'm glad you brought that up, man.
Yeah,
well, every diamond has multifacets to it. Remember that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So in this picture, so we've been catching these FAA cams, what we thought was a planet, over and over and over again. And like we're saying, that's a planet. Oh my God, it's staying stationary while the sun goes by it, right? Subscriber, by the way, Roy, who's one of my favorites. He gives me a lot of great insights and helps me a lot. So anyway, what we've come to the conclusion on is that this is actually pre-positioned lenses up there that are put in key strategic places so you can't see what's coming. And it just sits up there in front of these objects so nobody can observe them.
So we just use the principles of physics. One of our physicists has taught us so much, Rex. I mean, it's like going back to college again. So you have to think of the Earth as a concave lens, and it amplifies light coming in. And if you have a device that's on top of that convex lens, emanating a light source down on top of it, well, you're going to use the same principle our sun does when it hits the Earth. That light will begin to spread. So, you could have something that's projecting, let's say, a half-mile light beam, so let's say 250 miles up in space, 22 miles. Well, by the time it hits the upper atmosphere, it begins to spread out. And now if you have a network of these, think what happens.
And so through the various pieces of data that we collected through NASA, through Boeing, through observations, through satellite photography, through all kinds of different things, we were able then to consolidate that into a white paper. So we're the first group.
You guys put this together? This is your white paper?
It's the physicist, actually.
Our physicist, yeah.
She works with us. She's awesome. So basically, this is what it looks like.
So, and we're using this technology is not that new. Look at the new telescope that they're putting up. And it's used on this principle of hexagons. And when you begin to study, when we look at, for instance, Ceres that's up there orbiting now, the asteroid, we see it in nature now, hexagons forming naturally within nature and other planets and other places, even in our planet. Does the same thing with light.
So Rex, what are they hiding, right? So like I said, we do not doubt that this is the planet. This is a photograph from a subscriber using a high telescopic lens on a tripod. This is a picture from New South Wales, Australia, by the way, is a great viewing site. And I've got 3 subscribers now that are photographing every night. But the green planet, we think, is pretty much proven beyond a shadow of a doubt now. I mean, it's there and they're hiding it.
Well, I mean, NASA did come out and say that they've discovered over the past several years over 1,200 planets outside of the Kuiper Belt.
Outside the Kuiper Belt.
So the fact that they're saying that, and here's another thing I find very interesting is Mr. Brown, the astrophysicist and astronomer, Mr. Brown, the guy that basically downgrades Pluto, is the same guy that's saying that he's discovered Planet 9 outside of our solar system that is causing the sun to tilt and the solar system to shift. So I think that's very fascinating that the same person's, okay, let's downgrade Pluto. And, oh, by the way, there's Planet 9.
Yeah, well, let's bring in the solar system.
It is causing the sun to shift. No big deal.
Well, check this out. Now, this is an anomaly that we've seen with our naked eyes many, many, many times, but this is one of those rare photographs. Every day, depending on the conditions, you will see the red halo that we see from space from Earth. What's unusual about this particular day was we saw this reverse rainbow like this. That, from a physics perspective, is impossible unless it's behind the sun. You cannot have a rainbow next to the sun like that unless it's behind the sun. Do you hear me, Rex?
Yeah, but what about all the chemtrails and stuff like that, though? Just the stuff they spray in the atmosphere.
Dude, look, this rainbow there's a different color of the sky behind it. Do you see that? We think we might be looking at a huge planet, man.
It's a problem, too, is the rainbow. Look how it's positioning in the sky. Rainbows go the other way.
That'd be interesting. Okay.
Well, so explain to me how is this refracting the light that way?
See, most people don't realize a rainbow, Rex, is always with your back to the sun, and you're always looking with your back to the sun to the rainbow, right? Anytime you've ever seen a rainbow, that's what would happen. What happens is the light from the sun refracts back from the raindrops and then has a prism effect. That refraction has to come right back at you from the sun. In other words, the sun's beaming into the light and then it refracts back into my eyeballs. So I can't have a rainbow like this unless it's behind the sun. You understand?
Okay.
It's impossible. This is very basic physics, and a lot of people don't know this.
Okay.
And our physicist, this is that college education that we get. She wrote a whole paper on how you can't have a rainbow like this in the sky unless it's something in the sky.
And this would most likely be the artificial sun source, though. No, you think it's a planet, though?
We think it could be an object. We think it could be the edge of a nebula. We don't know. But we're just saying we're observing these anomalies. And the reason we wanted to focus with you on the artificial light source and how much proof that we have for it, and anybody can see it, anybody can take a photograph of it, and you can, if you know what you're looking at, right? And we think that if we can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt and get people to realize that they have an artificial system and they're covering up stuff in the sky with the chemtrails and all that, that it only then a common sense would say, then why are they hiding the sky?
Mm-hmm.
And we hope that will help people turn the light on. And, we are doing this because we believe truth sets people free, Rex. And I don't care what the truth is. We're promised that it will set us free. And if this is the truth, it should set us free.
And when we start talking about the science, so let's just look tonight. Anyone goes outside, we're moving into a full moon. Again, I look back in my notes. I think this is like the 9th time we're having the biggest supermoon ever. But anyway, the point is of it is this: if you go out and you look at that moon, it looks very big, it looks close. But if you take a picture of it from your cell phone or your camera, it puts it back into perspective. And when we think about that, look at, well, how many pictures of the moon have you seen from the space station? Not many at all. Because when you do see the couple that are out there, that moon is out there, brother. It is out there. And so you have to say, but wait a minute, if that's their perspective of what they're seeing, then what are we seeing here? Again, the earth, the atmosphere, again, how it brings in light.
Here's kind of a scary development lately too, Rex. I don't mean to lay the whole 9 yards on you, but we've been getting multiple subscribers sending us pictures of double helix clouds.
That's incredible right there. That does look like a double helix.
It does.
Giant DNA strands for their.
Remember those nanobots?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You're harvesting together.
Exactly.
I'm highly suspicious of this.
Get out of my head, will you?
Yeah. Oh man, get out of my mind.
Here's another double helix one here.
Man. Have you guys also noticed? Ooh, that's a good. The chemtrails lately, they dissipate a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's like they're getting a new formula too.
Yeah, and then also the black chemtrails that you see.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just trying to see how nasty they can make them.
Since I got you here, Rex, and I got Wayne here too. This is Wayne's picture. I'll let Wayne discuss what that is.
Well, I'll tell you, this picture's got history behind it. This is the same morning that the magnetopause collapsed, is when Steve started recording the cosmic wind coming back at us. And what you're seeing here, this is still 35, 40 minutes before sunrise. And what we're getting is rays coming from the west. That's the last full moon that is right there. This is technically impossible because what we're seeing here is that there has to be a light source coming from the west, but the sun is rising in the east.
Fascinating.
I always stump you when I come on, don't I, Rex?
This is great, man. You have given me a few things to ponder. Indeed, this is great. I'm enjoying this. This is fantastic. This is what it's all about, man. This is why I started Leak Project, to get stuff like this. Just gems out there that make your mind just twist, and you're like, wow, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, let your mind expand a little bit. Their possibilities abound.
That's right, man. Absolutely.
So remember how Europe was doing the big, save 10 days of food thing recently?
Yeah.
In Germany and stuff? Mm-hmm. Well, during that time, I got a letter from a person in Hamburg, Germany, and this basically was a little pamphlet talking about the flooding that's likely to be happening in the next year.
Jeez. Okay. Looks
like
a lot of flooding.
Are they putting this out?
It's a lot of flooding, man.
And again, let me see. There's so many things to show you. Rex, I'm telling you, man, it's getting more intense every day.
You've got a treasure trove of goodies in there. Look at that. That looks like a giant parasitic dune worm from Spice Planet. I like that one, man. Yeah. Atreides found that.
That's almost as good as the Mickey Mouse we had that one time.
Yeah, the demon Mickey.
All right, this will be my last one. I'm gonna show you this one, and this one might get me killed. So hang on, okay?
Well, you don't want
this
that
picture, and I'm not going to say anything about the source, so don't even ask. This picture was given to me by somebody who worked on the infrared telescope program in the late '90s and early 2000s, and actually worked with many of the people like Dr. Harrington and others.
Okay.
These photographs are from 2008, and he claims that these are pictures of the Nemesis star. He went on to explain to me that the ring on that star, the big hole that we see on this thing, which we photographed as well, That actually is a small, almost like mini black hole inside the brown dwarf. And what you're seeing around that is the plasma interaction between the star and the black hole.
Mm.
So it fits with Terrell Blackstar's theory that it does have components of a black hole to it. It does look like a graviton or a magnetar, but it still is a brown dwarf that's got an anomaly on it. And this is from 2008.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, that image right there where you can see the circular, it looks like one giant solar flare, like a circle solar flare. But, I'm wondering if it is what, as you describe it, if it's like partially a black hole, partially a brown dwarf, maybe it's at that part of its life where it's starting to turn into a complete black hole. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about that kind of stuff, but that's interesting.
No, I was led to believe that this has been the state of the star for a while.
Okay. Maybe that's how it was created or something like that.
But again, these are claims.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's true or not, but I'm saying these are the kind of people that are coming forward with evidence. People that are claiming that they worked on the telescopes and claiming that they worked in the secret space program and things like that. These people are coming out of the woodwork, Rex.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Getting this information out there for people to decide, and make their own decisions. That's certainly that's fascinating, man. I appreciate it, Steve.
No,
I'm glad that you and Wayne jumped on here. This has been a great conversation. I mean, we've hit on a whole bunch of stuff that I feel is important, not just we've talked about spirituality. We've talked about, just mental opportunities, the technological aspects of things. And this stuff is fascinating.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that as we dig deeper into it, and I'll let Wayne say something too. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Wayne, but it seems like the more we dig into this rabbit hole, the weirder it gets, man.
Yeah. That's the best part.
Yeah, I think that as well. I think people are becoming aware of many of the things that we have just taken for granted. And whether it's our own history or whether it's what we see up in the heavens, we're understanding that it's much greater than what you can imagine. And when you begin to accept that, things begin to have a little bit more order to it.
Indeed. Absolutely. Now, Wayne, you've got your own YouTube channel and you've got some great videos on there. I know, Steve, you're well over 50,000 subscribers now, growing at an astronomical pace. And if for those that have a chance to listen to this podcast, if they haven't heard of you before, Wayne, or Steve, definitely WSO, Wormwood System Observer, how can they get in contact with your channel, Wayne?
It's R. Wayne Steiger on YouTube. And I'm kind of the counterbalance to Steve. We get into a little bit more controversy of really challenging some of our theological ideas and our perceptions on science and society.
Yeah, we're exploring some big questions right now, and let me tell you, Wayne and I do not. We stretch each other, man. That's what Wayne and I do.
Hey, iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely. And I think that debate is healthy, conversations about possibilities. If we all agreed on everything, gosh, how boring would that be? That would be the Borg.
I wish we had the time back. I'm a great advocate of Philo of Alexandria, first century philosopher.
Okay.
And I really would have loved to live back in the time of Ephesus, in that time between the Greek and Roman period, because the amphitheaters were public forums to where men could go out and actually sit and discuss issues. For instance, your belief in God. Well, I would challenge you to define what your belief of God is.
Mm-hmm. And
we would do it in a forum that you could have lively debate. But I'm not going to want to kill you.
Right. At the end of the day, you still just sit down and you say, okay, well, I believe
Let's have a beer,
Yeah, right. What, you're saying your God's better than mine? Off with his head?
Exactly. Off with your head.
He is a devil worshiper.
Yeah, and then the next thing you know, you're a false prophet, and you're going, well, wait a minute. I was just saying, what if?
Right. It was an idea, man. Sorry. Yeah, that's awesome, Wayne. I think you've got some great ideas, man. I love your channel. And Steve, you've got an awesome channel as well, Wormwood System Observer, WSO. Before we close out tonight, share a gem or two with our audience or something that you think would be important for the future. And now.
I'll start. I think the thing that I'm coming to realize with all these all these revelations of aliens and all the different things that can be overwhelming. Okay, so two questions, and I asked it before. I really want you to think of. I want anybody who's listening. I want you to think about this. Make sure the God you're worshiping is a God. And number two, and probably most important, human beings are sovereign. You have sovereignty. Nobody has the right to control you.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's right. Nobody has the right to control you unless you want to let them. Hey, if you want to be under somebody's control, right on, man. Go, so be it. Steve, I appreciate the sovereign opportunity. I will take that one for $100.
Yeah, Steve, you're a good man. And I'll just close it with this. No matter what the world is, no matter how much it changes, one of the things as I've gotten older is that there's one thing I can control, and that's the energy I flow out. And I choose, and I'm advocating this. If planet Earth, if our species, the humanity, the family of man, would come and spend one day out of the year, we would call it the Jubilee Day. And it's where we would disconnect ourselves from the system. And that day would be a day where we just do acts of kindness. And if we start sowing that as a species, that begins to have a cause and effect. And so, Rex, it just starts with number one, being kind to yourself and being kind to the person next to you.
Right on. Absolutely. Help others out. Smile at somebody that looks like they're having a bad day. If you see an older lady that's having a tough time walking across the street with some groceries, help her out. If you've got a neighbor that's not feeling good, their yard's, they
There you go.
to be mowed, go mow their yard and don't say anything about it. That's awesome. Acts of kindness. I really appreciate that. And hopefully we're going to see some change, you guys. I'm really trying to be as optimistic as possible with the future of America and the rest of the world. And I think that if we can work together and not against each other, embrace our faults, not our difference, or embrace our differences and our faults, and don't fight about it, I think that that's key. And also, I want to recommend our audience, if you get a chance to go to.
Okay, guys, I guess that's what it concludes. So just exchanging niceties towards the conclusion of this interview. I thought some interesting things were shared and put together in this particular presentation. I guess it's going to get archived like the rest of the stuff does. Jazakallah khairan wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.